Hey, how's it going, everybody? Wanted to do another video on due diligence. So we've done two videos already in this series. One is the basics of the stock market, and then the next was kind of some basic fundamental research you can start doing without any actual understanding of balance sheets or terminology or anything like that, right? So the previous video was kind of stage one when you were looking at a company to invest in or you're looking for ideas to invest in, but this is stage two. So you've actually kind of zeroed in on a company that you want to research, and we have a template here with IFVI that we'll go through, and I'll show you guys kind of how and where to pull this information from. So if you look on the left here, we have the template that I've put together. You got the last updated, so that way you know when the last time it was someone actually updated this information. The name of the company with the ticker. So the ticker is a 1 to 5 letter combination that lets you look up that company on an exchange. So you can type in ACBFF into a website like Yahoo Finance, and it will come up with Aurora's profile. Underneath here we have a company description, so you can actually pull this from the Yahoo Finance website or the company's website. You can see here we have the link, when it was established, a logo, some just some data on the company, how many employees it has, what they're selling, so the main product that this company has. So with each, obviously, if we're looking at a different sector, like a tech sector, what they're selling or what their product is, it's not going to be cannabis, so it's going to be something else here. So this template isn't completely cut and paste, so there will be some editing based off of what company you're looking at, but it's a good starting point, gives you guys the idea about what we're looking for. And then of course down here we have some key executives, so you do a little bit of research, watch some interviews, read some articles and stuff like that, kind of go back a few years and kind of get the public sentiment on the key executives of a company. So you got the CEO and the president here, so Terry Booth is seen as blah blah blah, write your little brief summary, and then you can provide a website that kind of gives their biographical history. So alright, up until this point we have pretty much pulled the majority of that information from Yahoo Finance. It's a great website to start your research. So me as someone who doesn't have any previous experience with balance sheets or whatnot, I was sitting here thinking like, wow, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about the cannabis industry and how it's booming. So I do a little bit of research and I see that Aurora is one of the front runners, so I want to look into it, right? So I go on Yahoo Finance, I type in Aurora, you can see it pops up, and then you start doing your research, you start filling in this due diligence sheet. So you go to Yahoo Finance and the profile tab, which is where you can find a lot of the information that I've already shown you: full-time employees, website, the sector, the key executives, the brief description down here. And so you just kind of copy and paste that. It doesn't take a lot of time or effort up to this point. So let's scroll down a little bit more. Alright, so yeah, that's Yahoo Finance. It's a great website. Here is one of the websites for the CEO. Got a picture, it's got a summary. You can scroll through this and through other articles and stuff like I was saying. And then we go to the actual company's website and we start checking it out. So if they don't have a really good website, that means that they're not a very good established or very well established company. So it's kind of something to be concerned about. But Aurora's company has really developed over the past year. When I first started looking into them, as compared to now, they have a lot more content on their website. So that's a positive note, right? So they're obviously hiring people to manage this better, and they're focused on it. So, all right, so that's their regular website. You can see here, this is their strains page. So what they're selling, their dried cannabis, their CBDs, the different types or whatnot, the prices or whatnot. Like, they got some information on it, so that's good, really informative. In our due diligence slide, you can see that we have it totaled right there, and the actual website for it. Alright, so going down, just about every publicly traded company will have an investor's page or link or whatnot on their company website. And so this is Aurora's. Click over here. So they got some of their stock information. They're primarily traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange up in Canada, so that's why they have that information first. So that's where they're based out of, is in Canada. If you want to, Yahoo Finance, so this is a great example of the tickers being different based on which stock market that they're actually being traded on. So in the US, this is Aurora's ticker, but in Canada, this is Aurora's ticker. So just an example. All right, so they have some of their day-to-day information about how it performed while the market was open, a little chart that you can track performance. They have their financial reports, presentations, current and previous ones, which is really good, certain events that they're associated with, talking about assets with MedRelief, how that buyout's going. So this is really good. So the analyst calls and stuff like that, you can listen to what's going on. These are the list of analysts that are covering the company, and of course some contact info. So really good investors page, a lot of information. One of the best tools that you can use is the investor deck slide. So it is 30 slides, but a lot of it is kind of fluff. But this one is really good. They start off with talking about the opportunity in Canada and in the cannabis market as a whole. So they give you some projected stats about what they think is going to be happening in the next few years. Just show that, you know, as the whole sector grows, this company will grow as well. How they're meeting it globally. So a lot of the larger countries that are associated with the cannabis market right now. And then we dive into the actual company. So at slide, you know, 8 or 9, we actually start talking about Aurora. So on our due diligence slide over here on the left, you can see facilities. This is probably one of the biggest focuses for growers or cannabis companies as a whole. So whether you're a grower or a distributor or whatever your role is, you have to be associated with the grower in some way. And so whatever facilities and their production capabilities and stuff like that is one of the primary ways to gauge a company's future success. So it's kind of hard to see now because we have the split screen, but they have tons of facilities, all with the actual growth potential. So some of these have dates on like when they'll be available, when they'll be in production, estimated to have the first crop yield in 2019, Q1 or whatnot. So you analyze this stuff and you just kind of digest it like, okay, the company, you know, is going to grow, projected to grow 200% in their current capacity over the next year. And that's really good, right? You'd have to obviously compare it to other companies to see if it's in line with market progress or sector progress, or if it's actually going above and beyond. But if you're just kind of new into pulling fundamentals and doing your due diligence on a company, just seeing this and knowing that that's going to be important and putting it on the due diligence slide so someone else can look at it and analyze it who might know more, that's really good for you to key in on. Distribution is, like I said, going to be another big one. So if you come back over here to the investor presentation, I just stole this slide once again. It talks about all the countries that Aurora is associated with, and then we scroll down, and they're talking about their R&D, so companies that they're associated with. Once again, their access to certain technologies, so they have a stake in all of these companies here. Their strains, the awards that they've won, stuff like that, right? This one here is actually pulled this slide as well. This is their list of acquisitions and investments to date. So that's really good, like which companies do they actually own 100%, or which ones do they have a stake in, and how are those companies performing. So you can really dive really deep into Aurora's investment holdings because they have so many. There's such a broad pool there. And then you can see here how they're saying, hey, from start to finish, this is how we're associated, we own these companies, blah, blah, blah. So you can see that they're investing in the entire process. So that way they can make it cheaper for the companies that they have investments with or own, and everyone's just benefiting from that mutual ownership. All right, so in our due diligence PowerPoint or Word doc over here on the left, we'll get into balance sheets in the next video, but we pull these stats from the most current release, and then you write your members' comments. So, you know, you've looked through the investor deck, you've pulled information from the balance sheet, which we'll do in the next video, and you just kind of give your opinion. If you are new to doing due diligence and looking into a company's fundamentals, then you might not be able to properly analyze the information, but you can still give, hey, I think this is really good, like this seems like it's awesome. And then if you're part of the investment club, someone who has been tracking the cannabis sector can say, yes, these are good, or yes, this is not good, or whatever. So if you have the capability, then you can put members' comments. If not, just taking the time to pull all this information and knowing that it's important saves someone else hours of legwork, right? That's what this is all about. And then you can scroll down here. So whenever you go to submit this report, after you've done a few hours of due diligence and digging into a company, then you pull the stats, and you can do this from Yahoo Finance's summary page. So at the close of the last day, it'll have the stats, and we'll go through in the next video once again what these actually mean. But in this example that I'll make available to my investment club, it has the explanation of what these things mean. So some of them have examples and how to actually calculate them, so that we understand, like, hey, if they're generating X amount of revenue but don't have a dividend, or what's their beta, like all these things, like what does this mean? They're all just indicators on the performance of a company. And then once you've looked at it, you can write in your members' comments. So not necessarily just weekly performance, but maybe the whole month, or maybe the investor slide had something important where you're like, hey, you know, the revenue says this right now, but you know, next year, because of all the facilities being completed, I think the revenue is going to double or whatever. So you just kind of put down what you think might be happening, and just your opinion, your analysis on the company as a whole. And then once again, once you go to submit this due diligence report, you put in the most recent relevant news. So within the last week, they had a bunch of news articles coming out because of the Aurora MedRelief deal. So a lot of analysis on what that means. And then, so you just pull some news articles that you think are important, throw them in here with a link, and then a brief description. I just copy and pasted the first paragraph to show you guys, but normally I would have done a pretty in-depth analysis on what the articles and what they mean. So, and then that's it. So, you know, you do the best you can. If nothing else, you just pull the information from the websites and from the investor decks without even being able to understand what the balance sheet says, just knowing like, hey, you know, I think these things are important, or hey, the company's highlighting these things, it's probably important, and then just pulling that and putting it in one document. So if someone sends me this due diligence report and they're like, hey, I think this company's good because of X, Y, and Z, here's a little bit of research to get you started, what do you think? And then if someone, whether it's myself or one of the other analysts, looks at the due diligence report and wants to dive a little bit deeper and look at their balance sheet and start doing more analysis, then that's really good, right? That means you found a company that has good growth potential, or something that we're looking for. And yeah, that's kind of it. It might take a few hours to, you know, find the websites, read through all the information, get familiar and comfortable with stuff, maybe do a little research if you don't understand what a company might be talking about, or if, you know, their plans are normal or whatnot. But you spend a little bit of time, you get a little bit familiar with the company, and you really start to kind of see where they're going in the future. And that's kind of what we're looking for in a due diligence report. So hopefully this sheds some light on how to actually do everything and kind of where to pull the information. It's not hard, it's not hidden, you just kind of have to spend a little bit of time digging it up. So, all right, appreciate you guys listening.